All right. So I got this debate here that I'm pretty excited to check out. This is Sydney Davis Jr. or Johan. Now, Sydney Davis Johan. I think I'm saying it right. I got to ask her about how to pronounce her last name now. She recently got married. That's the only I know Sydney. Okay, it's not anyway. Look, she did a debate, an abortion debate, and I saw it come out a bit ago, and I was kind of like, I don't know, eyeballing it for a minute and going, what, I want to cover this. I was supposed to cover it the other day. Stream got canceled pretty much, so here we are. We're doing it today, and it's going to be fun. But yeah, I am Brentley, and this is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. All right. Yeah. Like I said, Sydney Davis, she's awesome. She's gonna and she's the host of like Talk Heathen here and there. Like she's a frequent host of Talk Heathen. She also has her own channel called Growing Up Fundie. She also does Skeptic University. She does a lot of stuff. She's everywhere. And so yeah, really excited to check this out.
In the 7th grade, I had an opportunity to participate in an activity called Youth Legislature. We formed into teams and had the chance to produce and debate mock legislation in the Tennessee State Capitol, which I thought was an amazing experience. Truthfully, though, I don't recall too many details about that day, aside from all of the architecture and the bullet hole and the railing and some of the stairs that came from a dispute between lawmakers many years ago.
Okay, I'm going to skip the opening statement because it's already making me feel weird. I don't know. It's like, oh God, he's reading and is nervous, and I'm just now I'm nervous. I'm his nervousness is I'm catching it.
And the fact that I was the BLM riots, COVID, like many of us, when diagnosed with Down syndrome.
Okay.
Again,
I don't know where he was going to go with that. That's
abortion organization revealed that only 7% of post-abortive.
I feel like we already know all of their arguments anyway, but yeah, we're gonna move ahead. How long is this? Jesus. Okay. Here we go.
It's always been a really good time, so I appreciate you inviting me to be here. So I know that we're supposed to cross-examine for 20 minutes, but I can already tell the audience and yourself that I'm not going to take the full 20 minutes. I just have a few questions for you based on some of the points that you brought up in your argument. So my first question for you is, I'm going to list some medical procedures, and I just want you to tell me what they all have in common. So let's see, the receipt of anesthesia, a colonoscopy, vision correction for people who are going blind or people who have cataracts, pre-cancer removal, x-rays, receiving an x-ray, and painkillers in general. What do you think all of those have in common?
Oh, they're very different, but it seems like in some way it's inserting something, whether it's a x-ray or something, into a human body.
Okay. So the thing that all of those have in common is that they are, from insurance perspective, considered elective. So just keep that in mind as I move on into my arguments later. I'll repeat myself: anesthesia, colonoscopy, any kind of vision correction for people who have glaucoma or have different vision, permanent vision loss, pre-cancer removal, especially for people who come from a lineage that they know they are going to get breast cancer or colon cancer, things like that. Colonoscopies, we mentioned, x-rays to see what's wrong with you, and the general administration of painkillers. So those are all considered elective. If you don't mind me asking, and I totally understand we're on the internet, you don't have to answer this. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 children.
3 children. Perfect. How many of your children?
I'm actually ashamed of the having kids. I'd rather not answer that. It's quite embarrassing to have kids these days,
Are adopted.
None of them.
None of them. Okay. And do you mind if I ask why you've never adopted a child?
Oh, sure. We're definitely considering it and in conversations about it, and it's very possible that in future years that we will foster or adopt.
Sure. And why?
You have 3 kids, but you want to still adopt one? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to those kids? Come on.
Why would you want to wait for future years as opposed to now?
That's a good question. There's a lot of factors that go into when families adopt.
Yeah.
We would
I
probably
agree.
foster first, and
Okay.
what we would prefer to do is wait till our children are a little bit older. Because
Yes.
it's always recommended that when you do foster, you foster children that are younger than the kids that you have now. So we wouldn't seek to adopt babies because there's actually
That's an interesting like rule, I guess unspoken rule, is that like, oh, you got to make sure that if you are going to foster, that they need to be younger than the kids that you already have. That's interesting. I wonder what that's about.
a very long list of families that are waiting to adopt babies.
Okay.
Far more families willing to adopt babies than there are babies available to be adopted.
Perfect. And then do you consider the creation of unique DNA to be life or to be formulation? Do you consider just DNA being formed? We're not talking a heartbeat, there's no brain. Do you consider that to be life, or do you consider that to just be a formation of cells?
It's not DNA alone. As I referenced in my opening statement, embryology textbooks affirm that human life, and so it's not just my position, it's the position of the scientific medical community, that human life is formed at the moment of conception, in which unique DNA is part of what is created.
See, I mean, it's just already, and this is like the main thing, it seems, is just the fallacy, or just like the lack of, I don't know, critical thinking when it comes to just anything on the right. For the most part, it always seems to be this like oversimplification of something. Like they take nuance and they're just like, that doesn't exist. Forget nuance. No, it's either this or that. There's nothing in between. You're either for me or against me. You know, like that's the fallacy of excluded middle. So, you know, it's just basically just oversimplifying everything into this just right there. He's saying like it's a forming a human life or whatever, you know, where human life forms at conception. No, it doesn't. It begins to form at conception. It's a process, man. It's not just like all of a sudden, oh, there it is, person's just in there. Come on, dude.
So what is your definition of life?
It's got a couple of things that involves in life. Uniqueness of DNA, independent of the mother.
What's up, Drusilla? Hey. And how's Bells? What's up, Alan? How you doing? It's good to see you.
Natural facility to grow and develop. So probably things that include those two things.
Oh my God. Ellen said, to be fair, I have a good friend who has 4 kids and adopted 2. And they are amazing parents. I guess if you really love doing the parent thing, you know, and if you're good at it, you know, I guess you're right. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it for as many kiddos as you can. You know, I couldn't even imagine doing that to 1, but that's just me. You know, I'm sure I'm the odd one out here. I know.
Okay. And what is your personal definition of dead or deceased or no longer alive?
I love Siddish. Define dead. Let's do that. Can you just no put that into words for me?
When all brain activity, bodily function.
And then what you got to do is you got to stare at them while you do it. Define dead. You know, and then they're like, it's when it's people think your eyes are really just focused in on. Now I'm sweating. You're just really looking. Oh my God. Well, spread. Are we talking like a spread of like you know, like a spread that I'm dead. I'm sorry, spread. But I was even. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. Oh, but
cease. There is no more natural capacity for the body to sustain itself.
Perfect. Actually, we agree on that. Those are all my questions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So who's cross-examining who first here? Or is it whom? I don't know. Where's the answer here? Is it whom? I don't know. I get thrown off with the whom thing. Sometimes it's who, you know, and I don't know when it's not.
Marlon, I'm
All
ready when
right,
you are.
thank you. I'm in.
Like they're just sitting here. Whew, what do we? I thought there was supposed to be somebody that come. There he is. Oh my God! Thank goodness. We're just
in. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I'm in. Good to go. So, all right. So that's all the questions you have, Sydney.
Yep, that's it.
You got like 15 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's it.
All right. All right. So, Sydney, you're up with 2-minute opening statement, and so once again, the same as
Wait,
Tim,
what? Okay.
I will start your 15-minute timer as soon as you begin to speak. All right.
Okay, hold on. So this is just an interesting the way that it's the way that they're organizing this is interesting. So started out with his opening statement. Then next wasn't her opening statement. It was her questions for him, I guess, regarding his opening statement. I don't know, like this, like I'm not big on the David. What is it? It's like the David rules of debate or whatever the fuck. It's like somebody's name. I can't everything is like Steve's rules of debate or some shit. But it's really official apparently, and that's where you get all the cross-examining and all that type of stuff, and the opening statements and then the arguments and whatnot. But I don't feel like I've heard one where they like do it like that, where it's like an opening statement and then you get to question them on their opening statement. And then now what she is going to make her opening statement, and then he's going to question her opening statement. Is that normal? Is that how it normally goes? I don't know. I don't watch it. Clearly, I don't watch that many debates anymore. I used to watch them all the time.
Perfect. So for anybody watching, first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to address some of the things that my opponent said, and then I'm going to go down my points just to give you an idea of the things I'm going to touch on for my personal point. I'm going to talk about how abortion is actually a very good economic decision, how abortion saves more lives than it prevents. We're going to talk about the statistics on the women who are seeking abortions in the United States. And then we're going to talk about how illegalizing abortion does not stop abortion. And we'll get into more detail there as I get into my arguments. But first, I'd like to address what my opponent said. So my opponent...
I think that's one of the best arguments, because like the things they think they're stopping, they're not even stopping. So like when they do these bans and everything, they're not even doing what they think they're doing. You know, not only are they hurting people, but they're not even accomplishing their fucking goal. It's like it's the worst way to legislate something ever. Like it's just, it fails on all fronts.
Is a very, very good speaker. He's a very, very talented debater, and I totally respect his abilities and his talents. But there's a couple of things that...
But he's fucking stupid, you know, and wrong. He's wrong. I mean, I guess he wouldn't be stupid. It's like, I respect the heck out of him. He's very good, but he's stupid. Okay. Yeah, stupid people can be good at stuff sometimes. Okay. It's not, I'm just kidding.
We did here that I want to make sure we call out before we move forward. For example, he mentioned that the definition of life, according to science, is that it begins at conception. And this is actually not true. Human DNA and the formation of a...
Like what science? It's like the Discovery Institute. Yeah. The Discovery Institute. Another well-known scientific journal. Maybe you've heard of it. Answers in Genesis. We're going to move right on. Nope. Next one is Nature. Maybe you've heard of that. That's a scientific journal. It's like, but it's spelled with an E-R, N-A-T-E-R. It's a fundamentalist pretending, pretending to be a journal. Anyway, and also, like, what the fuck? Like, what science, categorizes life that way?
Human does begin at conception. I agree with him on that. Science agrees with Jen, and this is actually not true. Yes, human DNA and the formation of a human does begin at conception.
There we go.
I agree with him on that. Science agrees with me on that.
It begins. It's a process.
But life in itself, and I asked him what his definition of life and death is, if we are talking about, in his own words, the brain function, the heart function, the blood is moving, those are all functions that are not yet available at conception. So it turns out he and I actually agree, life does not begin at conception. Human DNA, cells clumping together, those things begin at conception, but that is not life. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I've spoken to a doctor for debate, and he was saying that the definition of being dead is no heartbeat, no brain activity. That is when you cease to be alive. So
Boom. That's an excellent way to attack this. Is going with not the definition of dead, it's the definition of lie, which it's kind of required for that to happen prior to it being ended for it to be the way they describe it, murder. Brilliant. How's everybody doing? Hey, what's going on? It's David. We got David here. What's up, David? Doing all right? We've got, let's see, tons of mice. What's up, dude? Goober's Rules of Debate. That was it. I knew it. Goober's Rules of Debate. Of course. How do I forget that? You'd think I'd remember the name Goober. Whoever has the most peanuts wins. That sounds like Dumbo's Rules of Debates. But who else we got here? We got Deviant Outcast. What's up, dude? You fucking deviant idiots. Anyway, and then Apatia. What's up? Let me see who's first. I didn't see. Let me see if I can catch who's first here. I thought I saw it, but let me just double check. Yep, Dan. I was like, I don't know where he went after he won. He won the competition. It's like, all right, I'm out of here. See you. Yeah, we got Dan. What's up, Dan? And then second place, we got Drizilla. As always, it's always like Drizilla or Pinata, the Pandora's Pinata. Every so often, though, Dan's been just sneaking in here, taking the win from everybody. Then Helen, what's up, Helen? What's up? Yeah. All right, here we go.
When we talk about early abortion, which is 93% of abortions, they are early abortions, 9 weeks or fewer. We're not talking about living human beings. We're not talking about killing anything. There is nothing to kill. It was never alive. It was never allowed to reach the state of being alive. So I definitely want to highlight that. While science does say that humans begin forming at conception, life does not begin at conception. And you heard my opponent talk about how life is brain activity, heart activity, things like that. So we agree on that. Life does not actually begin at conception. Something else I noticed.
That was really good because, like, he's basically just admitted that his opening, that I'm sure he said in his opening statement that life comes into existence at conception, and then she just asked him to define life, like what makes something alive, and he totally defeated his own definition.
In my opponent's arguments are that he does not delve into nuance, and something that I'm going to delve into a lot in my argumentation is nuance. For example, he talks about the number of Gen Z and millennials that have been killed by abortion. What he doesn't talk about is the number of abortions that were performed on fetuses that had no vital signs of life, that never would have survived outside the womb, that were not going to make it to the birth canal in order to be born alive. He doesn't talk about the nuance there with the life of the mother and the health of the mother. So even though there were a significant number of abortions performed in the year, I forget the year that he cited where he got his data, he does not go into detail on how many of those fetuses were actually alive and actually had viability to even make it towards the stage where they develop life. And that makes up a large percentage of abortions. So even though he uses a lot of language, he gives a lot of descriptors, he talks about vacuuming, he talks about parts, he talks about
Of course he went into the vacuuming, but they put a vacuum up there. That's right. And you know what they call it? A Roomba. That's right. It's a Roomba. Just, they just set it in there and plug it in, and it just does all the work on its own. It's pretty incredible. You just let it go. It'll even plug itself back in when it's done, getting all the fetusness out of there.
The baby being torn apart.
Hey, thanks, Ellen. Hell yeah. Ellen is a new member. What's going on? Hell yeah. That's awesome. Fuck yeah, dude. Let's see here. Got a new member. What's up? Thank you so much. Of the handcuffs and loop. That's right. Wait. What? I got two of them here? Oh, okay. I don't know why I did it twice, but it did it twice. Oh, probably for each thing. Probably for the different way, the vertical plus the horizontal, whatever. Probably doing it both. Hey, Kari, what's going on? How you doing? Sydney is great. I love watching Sydney do her thing. She's great. All right, let me see here. Oh, and yeah, well, we'll just keep going here.
apart and sucked apart by a vacuum. What we are talking about here is
Vacuum.
one, we agree life does not.
It's like when they bring up the vacuum and stuff, it's so clear that they don't have like any kind of actual valid argument because they're just like, isn't it gross though? Isn't it gross? Like they also use a vacuum for blood and surgery. You know, they're like sucking the blood out of the, and then it goes into a machine and to get this, and then it pumps it back into you. That's gross. We should stop that, right? We shouldn't do that because it you gross, right? Like it's can't just be sucking blood out and putting it back. No, we gotta ban that because it's that I find it gross. That's what we should do.
Not begin at conception. Life is heartbeat, is brain activity, is mobility, is those signs of life, right? Version, which is entirely different. And
well, Damien said, well, to Damien, there is no debate, but clearly there is. What do you think? We're just reacting to nothing right now? Am I so delusional that I think that I'm reacting to a video that doesn't exist? Huh? Is that what you're saying? No, I think I got what you're saying, but this debate does exist, and then we're just reacting to that. So, but ideologically speaking, yeah, I think you're right. But unfortunately, that's not, everybody doesn't agree with our evaluation of this sort of thing.
If we were to agree, then which we did on what life means, then the majority of the abortions that happen in this country happen before signs of life begin. So we are not killing living human beings in the womb. However, by making abortion illegal, we are killing living human beings that currently exist. So I wanted to make sure that I just hit that nail on the head before I move on.
Because that's the equivocation right there. And it's like this sneaky, God, it's like, I swear to God, everything, why is it that theists have to lie about everything? Why is it that conservatives really have to fucking lie about everything? They can't be honest about jack shit. And then they want to sit there and act like they're the moral majority, if they still use that term. I don't know if that's kind of a Reagan thing, I think. But no, it's like they have to fucking lie. And they're lying about, it being murder or whatever, like, describing it that way. That's insane. You wouldn't describe it. If somebody said, well, we'll get into it, but if I describe somebody as a murderer, you would think of one thing, and it would not be someone that just didn't give birth. You'd be like, oh no, that's not what that word means.
Get a little overview of also he talks about elective abortions. But
What's up, Larry? How you doing, dude?
Gave him a list of elective procedures that are actually very, very important and oftentimes save lives. For example, you can, if you are a man and you get colon cancer, your colonoscopy to determine whether or not what you have is colon cancer is considered elective. So just because an abortion is filed under an elective abortion, there are so many. I can go down a list. I've got a longer list here of procedures that are considered elective if you ask your insurance company, if you ask your hospital, but if you ask the person who needs that procedure done, it is not elective at all. It's very important. So it's like, yeah, it may be elective to want to see again. It may be elective to want to hear again. But at the end of the day, those are very important things.
It's funny. Of course, they have to bring that up too, because their whole thing is like, no, we get to decide when you should be allowed to do X, Y, or Z. Because like, you'll usually get to a point where you're like, yeah, but if it's, what about these circumstances? And then they're like, well, in those circumstances, I'm okay with it then, not realizing that like those circumstances are not cut and dry. It's not like super obvious. It's like, oh, the woman's life is in danger or whatever. And then they say that anything would be elective if it's sort of like ambiguous like that. If the risk is semi-ambiguous, well, then you didn't need to do it, and of course it's always like a post hoc rationalization where they're like, oh no, you could have saved the fetus, you could have, that was murder right there, that was unaliving a baby, because they could have done that, and so doctors are afraid, and so they just don't do it. They just let the fucking woman bleed out in the goddamn waiting room because they don't want a fucking felony and to lose their goddamn license.
X-rays considered elective, even though you need them to be able to tell what is wrong with you. That's considered elective, and it can be left for you to pay out of pocket and considered unnecessary by your insurance company and by your doctor and by your hospital. So we definitely, as much as I don't like to get into the nitty gritty.
Is she single? Okay.
Of semantics, that's very important for today's debate because semantics are in fact so much of what this is about. So
it's all it is about. The whole thing is just is semantic. It's rhetoric, but that's their fucking that's their game, because the people that they convinced by this stuff are idiots. I'm sorry, but like they want to be lied to, and they're like, could you just figure out a way to just tell me I'm right about everything I already want to think? Okay. And then you got some like Jedi samurai mind trick fucking rhetorician that just like could say things or other things, and should have that, Now everybody's like, wait a second. The other thing, the left, they're all a bunch of baby murdering.
Now I'm going to dive into my arguments. Number one, abortion saves lives. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds absolutely bananas. We're here talking about killing babies, but that's not what abortion does. Abortion actually saves many lives.
We're over here talking about killing babies.
According to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, the U.S. ranks highest among developed nations for maternal mortality during and indirect within 45 days. So we are the lowest in terms of score. We score the lowest in infant and mother mortality rate during birth because of some of the laws that we have restricting abortion, and because some of the laws that are put into place because of abortion restrictions. It does not end with you're not allowed to kill a baby. That's not where it ends, unfortunately. And we'll talk a little bit about how the legislation that gets rid of abortion and makes it illegal actually impacts and kills a lot of people. So we are the worst first world country when it comes to mothers dying. And if you are a pro-life person, that should matter to you a lot. These deaths are
women. It's women though. So, the fetus might be a man. Okay. So that's, already 50% more important. All right. Of that person, whatever that, woman, whatever you were talking about.
Caused by hemorrhaging, preeclampsia, eclampsia, cardiomyopathy, infection, and ectopic pregnancies. This is something that's really important to me, and it's really important to lots of women that I know. An ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy that is implanted outside of the uterus. It is an accident. It's an anomaly, but it happens. And here's the thing. It is 100% guaranteed to not be a viable child. You cannot survive as in utero. If
you're outside the utero, you can't survive in utero if you're outer utero.
You are an ectopic pregnancy. There is no such thing as detaching it and replanting it. You cannot move it to the uterus. You cannot move it somewhere safe. You cannot put it in a petri dish. It is 100% going to fail. Not only is it going to fail, but by removing the option to abort that child, which it is considered abortion, it is considered, in his mind, abortion, but also legally an abortion, to remove that fetus, to remove those cells together. You basically sentence these women to death. 10% of ectopic pregnancies end in maternal deaths in the United States.
Yeah, Larry said, Larry the tapeworm. just now reading the second half of your name there. Larry the tapeworm. Okay, no, that's good. You're like, from inside of RFK Jr. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I got a little computer in here. He swallowed a computer thinking it was going to cure something else he had. Anyway, so it says, it's also, in my opinion, about preventing upward mobility within women. Yeah, definitely. And kind of like, forcing women to give birth that way, it absolutely is going to, hem them up if they're trying to pursue some type of career. It doesn't really matter what career. Pregnancy is always going to get in the way, right? And if you can't decide to not or to elect to get an abortion, then what the fuck? So basically you just can't. If you're going to have a career, you can't have sex. Sorry, them's the rules. Guys can have as much sex as they want because they can't get pregnant, right? Except we'll transmit, but that's a different story.
United States, 16 out of every 1,000 pregnancies are ectopic, and that's 1,600 out of every 10,000 pregnancies are ectopic, and that is happening all around us.
She's like, that's a lot. That's a lot, right?
All the time. So opponent did was he told you a lot about the babies that were killed, Gen Z, millennials that are no longer on this earth because they were murdered in utero. But what he doesn't talk about is
I bet they love that, right? You know, all the boomers are like, yeah, fuck them millennial. We didn't want them anyway. You know, them lazy butts.
The fact that 1,600 out of every 10,000 pregnancies are ectopic and have no viability. So that's a check mark on the side of, yeah, they got an abortion, but that's not a check mark on the side of anybody was murdered. Nobody was murdered at all, because there was no chance of that thing surviving. So, and that thing being, you know.
And that's because, and that's the thing, the way she's describing it is perfect, because like it's, they act like just because it's in there, it's already a person. You know, whether it's going to survive or not, that doesn't matter. They see that as a person just walking around in there with full humanity, and just the fact that it will definitely not survive the pregnancy doesn't change the fact that it was a human prior to it, you know, being able to form and actually become what anybody else would describe as human.
You get what I'm saying? Now let's talk.
I do. I get what you're saying. You know, Sydney. It's just you and me. I get it.
Talk about minors. Teen pregnancy has a higher risk of both mother and infant mortality rate. So if a teenager is not allowed to receive an abortion, you heighten both her chances of dying as well as the infant's chances of dying before they even make it to the birth canal, before they're even born alive, right? So that's really, really important to think about. We're talking about teenagers.
Drusilla said, someone said most ectopic pregnancies are going to be okay. What? People need to do more research. Yeah. Wow. Holy shit. What the fuck? What?
We're talking about children and adolescents. And for those people who have...
Are you reading the chat? Is there a chat to this? Hold on. Because if there's a chat going on, I would love to see. Oh, show chat replay. Is that what you were looking at? Because I feel like we need to see that if that's what's happening here. Because hell yeah, I want to see these geniuses in the chat.
You know, the opinion, well, teenagers shouldn't be having sex. Let me give you these statistics, which are really off-putting but very important. 24.3% of births by 11 to 12-year-old mothers are fathered by adults, which is really gross. 26.8% of births by 13 to 14-year-olds are adult fathers. Men over the age of 20 years of age fathered 70.
Look at the logic in these people. It's amazing. If they are not alive, how are they growing? Did you not catch him describing like the criteria for alive? I guess he missed that part, or they missed that part. I don't know. But Jesus Christ, this is what I'm saying. See, they oversimplify everything. They equivocate stuff. I'm trying to think of what. I mean, it'd be equivocation, right? Because they're altering the definition of a word to like make it fit something that it doesn't apply. You know, like alive. Like when we're talking about a fetus being alive, we would, you know, it would have to have a beating heart and like brain function, you know, whatever, like stuff that keeps it alive, blood flow, whatever. And you don't have any of that when it's a fetus like that. And we haven't even got to the fetus portion yet. They're just talking about a fucking embryo.
Percent of all teen pregnancies being considered between the ages of 13 and 18. So these are not teenagers, you know, making out behind the stands at the football game, making bad decisions. These are teenagers who are being preyed upon by predators and are now pregnant and can suffer high-risk pregnancies, can die. They can go through all of this and then the child dies because their bodies aren't formulated well enough. They haven't gone through puberty, and they're not strong enough to give birth to these children. So by eliminating any possibility of getting an abortion, you have sentenced these women to death. If they get an ectopic pregnancy, if they're 13 years old, giving to them by a 21-year-old out of rape and incest. And now let's talk about the women who are seeking abortions.
Because they hate it when you bring that up. When you bring up the like rape and incest, a lot of which is crazy how often it's both. You know what I mean? Like, they always talk about grape, and being like, oh, it's so rare. That's like, it grosses me out, the stuff that I used to say. But like, this is a conversation, and maybe that's why I like reacting to these types of videos. This was a conversation that I've literally been on both sides of, because I thought that I had a good argument when I was pro forced birth growing up and everything, mainly because I literally went to a church camp. I saw a video of an now, of course, I can't. It was like the Jesus camp or something, but it was so similar. I had like almost the exact same experience of them passing out little fetuses, little plastic, like, there's a fetus. Everybody pass these around to the whole group and get. They were like a little, little fetus, whatever. And they're like, look at that fetus right there. Look at that baby in your hands. That is the size of a baby when they want to be able to unalive it, And I was like a little kid, didn't know what sex was. That, no, you're not allowed to learn about sex, but abortion now, you need to learn about that. Gee, it's not as if you like need to kind of understand the basics of the one thing in order to understand the basics of the other. But no, it's just that the people that don't believe our religion, they want to unalive babies because they're just evil. They're just evil, and they just hate babies, I guess. I don't, sick.
61% of women seeking abortions already have children. They already exist. They already have at least one child. So adolescents make up 10% of the people seeking abortions. So we're talking about both children and adults that already have kids that exist. This is not a war on babies. This is not a war on the...
Hey, right-handed Sith. What's going on, dude? It's been a minute. Doing all right? You're looking good. Wow, you've been working out. You've been doing some lightsabering, right? Yeah, I could tell.
Population of the United States. These are people who already have a child and cannot afford, cannot physically give birth, cannot mentally withstand, cannot, for whatever reason,
can't mentally give birth either. That's it. They're
withstand having more children than they already have, which is multiple. Sorry if you can hear my birds going on.
Sydney loves birds. Just gonna throw that out there. If anybody's unfamiliar with Sydney Davis, she loves birds. She has like a bajillion parrots. I actually don't know how many she has. I gotta ask her next time we hang out. Speaking of Sydney, I actually do a show with her, kind of, or like we sort of like get together every so often to react to Fundie Tube. And she puts it on her channel. I will link that video afterwards. We got one out right now, I think, and I think she's working on getting another one out. The other thing is Skeptic U, or Skeptic University, is coming out. I want to say in the next week or two. I'm trying to get it together to figure out what I want to do my video on. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
So as much as they want you to think that
aborting brain cells. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they mentally do abort all the time.
that abortion is being used as birth control. It's like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'll just go get an abortion. I'll just get that baby vacuumed out of me. That is not what's happening at all. And there are statistics that show that women do feel very bad about getting abortions, and they don't feel proud of it. And it is not a regular form of birth control for them. So just make sure that you keep that in mind. 61% of women seeking abortions are already mothers. They love kids. They're not out here trying to kill kids. They're not out here saying, screw them babies, nothing.
Hey, Bree, what's going on? How you doing? Bree's busting by. Hey, Bree. Yeah, I got the, I don't know if you saw it yet. I'm looking forward to it in like a couple days. Oh, let me put up her comment there. Where you go? There it is. She has that buzz. I'm getting the shirt. I'm getting the buzz off one. So I'm excited. I'm getting Brie. It's really cool. It's like anime Brie, like flicking off, putting up the middle thing. I don't know why I like censored myself just now. I'm like, this is an adult channel. We can flick off. Anyway, and it's heard like that. And then it says buzz off. And like, see, because she always goes, buzz. It's great. I love it. I can't wait.
They are mothers who, in order to provide a good enough life for the children they already have, they cannot afford, or they cannot, for whatever reason, give birth to additional children. Illegal abortion does not stop abortion. Studies have shown illegal abortions actually increase both mother and infant mortality rates across the globe. This is a global statistic. So meanwhile, the rate of abortions being sought and performed does not decrease. It remains the same. So basically, by making abortions illegal, you're not getting rid of abortion. You are just making it more dangerous and ending more lives in the process. So if you are somebody who says you are pro-life, then wouldn't it behoove you to want to make safe and healthy abortion legal so that ectopic pregnancies, so that teenage pregnancies, so that high blood pressure, preeclampsia, things that kill mothers on a regular basis can be avoided by that pregnancy being terminated and they can try again in the future?
Yeah, I don't care about that kind of life. It's just the life that they can use to vilify the left, Democrats, basically. And that's all they care. It doesn't, that's the thing. This whole thing, it's not real. They don't actually give a shit about this. The people that, I think they've gotten people to give a shit about this, but the reason that this debate exists in the first place is not because anybody cares about all the fetuses that their heart breaks for. That's not how this began. It used to be that it was just sort of like a nonpartisan issue. It was like you'd have some people on the left. It was like a philosophical thing. It was like, I don't know, when does a life come into existence? It was just kind of like a fun, like, thought experiment type of thing. Like, when does a life come into existence? And like that, the way that concept kind of just makes you think about things a little differently. It's just like, oh yeah, weird. Almost just like some kind of epistemological thinking experiment or something, almost like the problem of hard solipsism or something. You're just like, oh, let's just think about this. Like, how do we know what we think we know? Shit like that, whatever. And it was not on the right or the left. Ultimately, there wasn't the people being anti-abortion was not all on the right, and people being pro-abortion were not all on the left. They forced it to be that way after so long because they needed something to kind of like rally the right or the moral majority, as it were, and keeping Black people out of white people's schools was becoming increasingly like less popular and kind of gross. So they had to figure out like a new divider, a new thing they can use to manipulate people into giving the people that already have too much power even more power. And so the right went with, hey, they like to unalive babies. And it's just this, rhetorical device to vilify the other team by painting them as something that they aren't.
Maybe they already have children. It's harmful. And it's, I would say, violent to try to insinuate that abortion is because people don't want kids with Down syndrome. That gets rid of the nuance. That gets rid of so many very important features that come with the right and the choice to have an abortion.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, and hold on, let me bring it up. Shoot, where'd it go? Oh, there he is. Hell's Bells. Mel said, I need merch. Of course not. I wish I made the panel. I haven't made it yet. So I need merch. I will have to wait after Christmas and surgery. Oh, whoa, surgery. Shit, I hope you're all right. Yeah, I actually got some new merch up there. And I was going to call it the Stop Believing Junkies for Power line, but two of the designs got rejected, because I guess they were just too fucking punk rock for him or something. It did show like Trump with a crack pipe, but still it said power. It's cool. But I don't know how the one got past them, because I still have one up there. And so I'd say like buy it before it gets banned, because they seem to I don't know if they just missed it, just slipped through the cracks. They couldn't tell that it was a crack pipe on that one, just on the other two. I don't know. But yeah, two of my designs got rejected, but we got one left, and it's probably not going to last long. I got a feeling they're gonna ban it as soon as they're like, oh wait, that's a crack pipe too. Ban that. We can't show a president smoking crack. That's against the clothing rules that we have or something. But yeah, check it out. But okay.
Emphasis on the word choice. 169,000 U.S. abortion patients travel.
It's 69. All right. Anyways,
to legal states.
Can we cut the 69 thing? That wasn't. I don't know. That's like, like perpetually 12, apparently. Yeah, just cut out just cut out anything that sounds like I'm perpetually 12. What do you mean that'd be the whole show? That's not, fuck you, man. I say stuff that's not 12-year-old-ish sometimes. What? Well, not that, of course, obviously that was pretty dumb. But I mean, other than, you know what?
In 2023, after the bans.
God damn it, Kevin.
16% more than in 2020 when it was legal in those states that later made it illegal. Making abortion illegal is also racist and classist. Abortion among the upper class.
Oh, now you really just lost the right. Like, oh my God. Fuck. Oh, now I'm supposed to give a shit about racism and classism. Poor people deserve it. Okay. There was some kind of moral failing that made them poor. Otherwise, everybody would be rich if they didn't have moral problems,
Continues.
That's what Joel Osteen says, if you're a good person, you get money or something. I don't really know how it works.
Even in countries where it's illegal, because they have the means to travel and recover. They also have the money to pay for these abortions and these procedures that they get. Illegal abortions greatly impact marginalized communities as low as low-income communities. So this is something to keep in mind. And if my opponent wants to hear the breakdown statistics of the races of people that seek abortions, I'm happy to go into detail there. I can provide all of those numbers.
Damn, she comes prepared with that one. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Carrie said, I am just pro-humane. Like humanity, I'm pro that.
Direct correlation in the data between high earning.
I love this. It's so funny when they say so. This lady has no logic. She has no logic. Wow. Okay. Tell me you don't know what the fuck logic is without telling me you don't know what the fuck logic is. Holy shit, man. This lady has no logic. Wow. Okay.
High grades and legalized abortion in the States.
And they won't say, they won't say what she's saying is illogical. They're just, no logic. You're like, oh yeah, how? How is it not? How is what she's saying not logical? She doesn't have the logic. I'm just saying she doesn't have it like over her. She doesn't have it on her shoulder. What is logic again? I don't know. People use that word a lot, and I just kind of nod along. When people use that word, but I actually don't know what it means.
In the United States versus low income, low education, and illegal abortion. So if you want a society of people that are educated, that are able to seek jobs, that are able to make an income and they can contribute to society, they can build their own family, they can contribute to the community, they can contribute tax-wise, they can contribute creativity-wise. Studies have shown that if you want the best for your community, in terms of education, in terms of their income, future, you want to make abortion accessible and legal. 41% of people obtaining abortions in the U.S. fall below the poverty line. Now let's talk about the economic.
Which makes perfectly good sense. Like, I would say, like, most of the reasons that people don't want to have kids is not because they just hate kids. They saw that movie Kindergarten Cop and they're like, fuck those things. They're like all screaming and yelling. Arnold had to yell everybody to shut up, and then they start fucking crying. No, I'm not dealing with that. What a nightmare. No, that's not how it is. They can't afford it. Oh shit, there's Ember. Holy shit. That's so funny. Ember's over here. She's in the chat. Hell yeah. Thank you, Ember. Like, kind of need some people on her side here.
Economic aspects of abortion. Why it's a good economic decision, right?
Ember's the fucking best. There is no better than Ember because she's the fucking best.
Maybe you're like, I don't know any women who've ever gotten pregnant from rape. I don't have any teenagers, so I don't have to worry about that. That's great. Let's talk about the economics of it all. Legal abortion lowers government spending in areas including welfare programs, Medicare costs, and it increases taxable income and economic revenue. So by not forcing people to have children that they cannot provide for, or that they cannot survive the birth of, or that for whatever reason they cannot have at this time in their life, you actually cost the economy money. You cost yourself, the taxpayer, money. You cost them money. It's not just.
I mean, it's like half dog here. He's coming up. He's here. Oh shit! How long have I been going? Yeah, because like clearly, like the reason, and it's wild too, because you almost wonder if we did have like a flatly legal access to abortion, if the right wing, people that are just sucking up every belief of like billionaires want them to believe, if they would still, if they would still be like going against all of those kinds of social programs, right? Because when you don't have access to abortion, then you're like, look, you're forcing these people to have kids against their will, against their autonomy, and then now you're cutting all these programs. Like, I feel like it was a better argument for them, but see, they want to cut it no matter what. I was like going to say, like, that comes into it at all. They don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care if you had kids by choice or without choice. They don't give a shit. They don't want to help you. They're like, figure it out. Okay, like why do we have to have anything to help you? Just go get some charity from a church, as long as you're not gay, trans, or black. Probably, I don't. Anyway,
about the punishment of people who are getting pregnant out of wedlock. Conversely, restricting abortion can cost the state over one.
Hold on, let's read Ember's question. Is it question? Q. Suppose the shoe was on the other foot and abortion was mandatory. Say the government acquired a license to have a baby, whatever. Should it be the mother's choice to have the baby? Huh. That's an interesting way to look at it. So, like, if it was reversed and everybody had to, it was like abortion was just the standard, and that it would have to be, and it would, that would be the choice that would matter, right? Would be the woman's choice.
$1 billion each state, $1 billion annually in those exact same categories. And then
hey, Tsunami, what's going on? How you doing?
Just to,
I'm like a repeating thing. What's going on? Like my brain is just like resetting each time. Like, nope, already said that. Anyway,
kind of in closing, if my opponent wants to ask me about like the biblical aspect, things like that, we can go into that. But just keep in mind that even though abortion seems like it's this horrible thing, what it's actually doing is it's saving lives. It actually saves more lives than it kills. It doesn't kill as many lives because my opponent and I agreed on what life means, and we are not getting rid of living people. 79% of abortions occur within the first 9 weeks or earlier. There is no heartbeat. 93% of abortions occur in the first 13 weeks early. We're not talking about giving birth to babies and killing them. And yeah, that's I stand down for cross-examination.
Somebody responded to Emmer saying, love that change of angle. Yeah, it is interesting to look at it from a different perspective like that.
All right. Thank you so much, Sydney, for that 15-minute opening statement. And now, Tim, let's bring Tim back into the fray. Here.
Oh, I got a hybrid. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Breeze barely missed the hybrid, I think. Yeah. This was all like sort of last second today. So I was like, just trying to make up for the other day when I had to miss my Thursday stream, which is usually I never miss Thursdays,
All right. So Tim, you're up for your 20-minute cross section, Sydney, and I'll start your time as soon as you begin to ask your first question.
All right. Thank you, Sydney. It's real honor to share the virtual debate stage with Sydney. I know that she's got quite the resume in terms of debates and things like that. So,
oh my God, really personal. Look at this comment here. This one with money associated with it. $5 super chat says, no need to read this one, and I think I see why. This unsaved woman is brave enough to defend abortion, but Christian women will never debate submission to their husbands. Let me guess, you're a man? Is that what you're a man, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Y-A-R. Yeah, you are.
So a privilege for me.
Unbelievable.
Sydney, you said that you and I agree on when human life begins. But
hey, Ryan, what's going on? Well, no, he agreed with what life is. That's and just it's like no, I said life begins, but anyway. So hey, Ryan, how you doing? What's going on?
in my opening statement, I pointed out the fact that embryology textbooks, not me, embryology textbooks, affirm that human life does begin at the moment of
tons of advice. I flick that switch behind your left ear, Bradley, and the repetition will slow down. Thank you. Oh yeah, you're right. There we go.
fertilizations. Do you disagree with the embryology textbook?
I always forget about that. It's a repetition button. I don't even know why I have one of those. You know, who installed that shit? It's like, what did...
They don't agree that life begins at conception. They agree that the human body begins to form at conception. And you and I agreed that life means brain function. It means heartbeat. It means the functionality of a human being. But those are not developed until later stages. So while the human body does begin to form at conception, that is not alive. That is not living. That is not a living organism yet. That's later stage.
I didn't
It's the first step of the process that, you know, could lead to a person existing. You know, like I said, 80% of the time it does it, but 20%, no matter how, you know, how much a person may want the baby to go to term, they just don't. It's just, that's just the statistics.
in either brain or heartbeats in terms of life, but if you disagree,
you did say dead. You did say that means dead.
Right. But
so to be unalive,
the definition of life and the definition of death are going to be different. Wait,
really? So you're going to have a different definition for not alive than you would for like, but you would need a consistent definition for what alive means if you're going to say it's not alive. So you're literally changing the definition of alive after you've agreed on what it means to not be alive. But now you're changing the definition of alive. Jesus Christ. See what I'm saying? There's no consistency with your argumentation here.
When do you believe that human life begins?
I believe that human life begins when feelings can be felt. Maybe I would argue, okay, maybe it begins at the heartbeat. Maybe it begins at the brain function. I don't know enough about the development of a fetus to know exactly when that happens.
And it's not ever going to be at a specific time. Like I always say, I mean, unless you go with like the way I do it, which is ironically, I take the biblical standard and say at like third breath or whatever. So when it's breathed for the third time, air out of the air, not just soaking in fluid, you know, once they've breathed air 3 times, they're a human, you know, or they're alive. Sorry. They're a human that is also alive. Anyway, yeah, that would be my, my cutoff line, whatever you want to call it.
But if I were to say, so I asked the doctor what alive means, and he was talking about heartbeat. He was talking about brain function. When those two things,
first breath, or I think I don't know where I get the second and third breath, but I think that might be like a Jewish tradition or something. But yes, now he says the Bible says it's not alive until birth. Yeah, first breath, because it's like the breath of life, right? Like it's very clear about the breath being of life, the breath of life. Like it's just, you know, it's why it's weird that they never think of it like that. You know what I mean? They're just constantly like, oh yeah, but there's a lot of times on the right, they're just so that they don't care about what's out. They're just like, I don't know, what am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to believe about that? I don't know. Please tell me what I'm supposed to think, because I can't think for myself. That would be selfish and evil, and I'd be making an idol out of my worshiping myself if I decide for myself what is right and wrong. So I can't do that.
Fail, that means death. I would say, let's say that is when life begins.
Okay, so did you hear you said heartbeat?
Yeah, or brain function.
Heartbeat or brain function, but maybe it's probably more accurate to say that you don't really know.
No, I'm not a scientist.
Okay. Would you be for abortion restrictions beginning at heartbeats and brain function?
No.
Okay. So after heartbeats and brain function, you would recognize that it is human life, but you still believe that they shouldn't have the same, that human being shouldn't have the same right to live as all other human beings.
Correct.
Okay.
Like, yep. Yeah, that'd be. You can't have a right to something when you exist inside someone else, dude. Like, you don't. People, like, you don't have the right to exist inside somebody else. That's not your right. You don't get rights until you are an individual, which means you've divided from the individual that you were divided within. Never mind. You know what?
Is there any other category of human beings that you're okay with killing?
So here's where we differ. There is no, when the baby cannot function on its own outside the womb, there is no killing there, right? There's no death, there's no killing when it cannot function by itself. So for example, the heartbeat begins, I want to say, I could be wrong about this, but I want to say it begins at 13 weeks. Don't quote me on that. But even if
the thing is too, and we'll get back to let her continue, but like they like calling it the heartbeat a lot of times is a complete fucking misnomer, because it's not. You have to have a heart for it to beat. And they're like, oh, as soon as we see this like pulse type thing, this energy pulse, they're like, that's the heartbeat. And it's like, before the heart develops, how the fuck can you have a heartbeat with no heart? That doesn't make any goddamn sense, dude.
There is an embryo whose heart is beating inside the mother. That embryo can still kill the mother. That embryo can still have brain formalities that won't allow it to exist outside the womb. You can't remove that embryo and have it live elsewhere so that the mother can, continue to thrive in her life. There is so much nuance just because.
Let me see. Tsunami said he's trying to trip her up into bypassing him saying heartbeat and brain function together. Yeah, because like he's trying to get her to separate. Because that's another part of this. And remember, I was saying like so much of like right wing argumentation is just like getting rid of nuance, just like making everything black and white when it's not black and white. And yeah, that you're right. It's like, because it's got to be a one-word answer. Everything has to be a one-word answer, and it's got to like your explanation can't take more than like a sentence. Otherwise, it's got to be wrong, because it's gonna. If you have to explain shit too long, it can't be true. Like, but yeah. So, trying to make her say just one thing, not it's got to be either this or it's either that. It can't be, a process or like a nuanced thing that it isn't just this or that or nothing. Like, Jesus.
Something has a heartbeat doesn't mean that it is a citizen. That does not mean that it's a functioning human being. So if we look at it alive in the same way that a plant is alive in certain ways, that is life. It is alive. It is functioning. It is building organisms. It is building organs in its body. But we can't say that that is a functioning human being. And we can't say that that is a human that will survive even if the mother dies because of whatever medical abnormalities are occurring in her body and in the fetus's body as well.
Okay, so that was helpful around the plants. So we would say that plants are alive. So it sounds like you're saying, but I was going to ask,
I mean, because life is actually not that well defined. Like, there was and there are things that behave like they are alive that we wouldn't act like are alive. Like, I always used to hear the example given of fire. Fire kind of behaves like it's alive. I mean, it consumes things. It moves in a way that it seems like it could be. I don't know if I want to say it's like conscious, but plants aren't conscious, but they're alive, right? So like fire could kind of be in line with that. You know what I mean? Anyway, the point is, the concept of alive or life is it's kind of ill-defined. Like, we have a hard time nailing it down to like, now it's alive, right? That, I mean, just even as far as like abiogenesis goes, like when life comes into existence from non-life, like that's a tough line to draw because of how ill-defined the concept of alive is.
Ask you is that if you think it's not alive, then why is the abortion pill taken in 2 stages? First, to kill the human, or you might say the thing that's alive, and then the second one is to expel it. Do you agree that whatever is alive has to be killed first?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And there are definitely times where that's necessary, I would say, yes.
To be killed first?
Just in general, I think even if we agree that a heartbeat is a life, there are times where it is necessary to get rid of that life for the sake of itself or the mother. Yes.
Okay, can you tell me about one of those situations when a preterm delivery would be possible or wouldn't be possible, that you must actually kill the human being in the womb first?
Have you ever heard of hydrocephaly?
I have not.
So hydrocephaly there's different stages of hydrocephaly, but essentially what it is when there is water.
You're like, yeah, no, that's when you get that that's when you get that VD when you're in the water. Yeah, you've had sex in the water, get that VD, it's
on the baby's brain, if the baby's brain even forms.
I'm sorry, that's hydrosyphilis, but the different thing that I have not had personal experience with.
So I think many of us have seen those really sad pictures on the internet of babies that were born very, very deformed. Hydrocephaly cannot be grown out of. It cannot be cured. It's not something that they could take medicine for whenever they're born. And children do not reach the age of adolescence when they have hydrocephaly. It's very, very rare. These are children that basically are born, they're born in pain, they're born suffering, they can't communicate. They are essentially active brain stems with heartbeats and water on their brain. And many times also giving birth to children with hydrocephaly is bad for the mother and it can kill the mother. So in the case of hydrocephaly, you already know that the baby has it. You already know that the fetus will not survive very long outside the womb, if at all, if it doesn't die in childbirth. You already know that the mother's life is at stake, but it has a brain and it has a heartbeat and it is alive. There is no viable reason to make that child live a tragic hours. Even if I've seen a couple that maybe get to 2 years old, there's no functionality. They cannot survive on their own. They cannot eat. They have to use a tube. And there's no humane reason to continue that pregnancy for either the child or the mother.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. You said that abortion is a good economic position. I think I'm quoting you.
Science is moving on from that. So what was that last question? Were you trying to make a point? Like usually you make your point after asking her the question and then you move on to your further questions. And he's just like, well, I guess I can't make that point anymore because wow, she kind of nailed me down here in her answer. So moving on to the economics. Maybe I can get her with that one.
Verbatim on that one.
Yes.
Is it a good economic position to kill any class of human beings in order to solve poverty?
Once they're alive and out of the womb, once they can survive on their own, I'm not advocating for murder. That's absolutely not what I'm advocating for. Once a baby can survive outside the womb, I'm not telling people to club these kids or to give birth to them at the hospital and suffocate them. What I'm advocating for is...
That's me. I know it's weird, but it's just a thing I like to tell people to do. I don't think people should take it seriously. It's just something I say, but that's me. That's what I do. So obviously for thousands of years, people wouldn't start to emotionally invest in children until they passed infancy, because there was because there was a good chance some of your kids wouldn't survive infancy, much less birth. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, so they wouldn't even emotionally invest in their kids until they're like above the age of infancy. I mean, that makes sense, And part of like why I think this is such a this debate is such a good tool for the right is because we think when it comes to like pregnancy and stuff like that, it's like we stay like just as humans, we stay so narrowly focused on the future, like future orientation of it. Like, so you'll hear, like you were saying, emotionally and women emotionally investing, or people emotionally investing in the baby the baby before they've been born. They're like, oh, this is going to be a sperm, this is going to be that, this is going to be that. Like they're thinking about it in terms of like, this is how it's going to be, right? But the only reason they do that is because we live in a society that is set up in a way so that it's so much more likely for childbirth to be successful and for the kids to survive, those babies to survive infancy, which used to be very unusual. So parents wouldn't even get like, I don't know, I want to get attached. It's like when the cat under the dumpster gives birth, you're like, I don't want to get attached. Nope, do not name them. Do not name. Like, no, my kid doesn't get a name until it's a fucking toddler. Then we can start naming that sucker because I don't want to get attached. But that's literally the way it used to be. And it makes good fucking sense because it's not a guarantee. And the way that we treat it like it's a guarantee is weird, honestly.
If you make it illegal to have an abortion, you are making it illegal in all instances. And when you make it illegal in all instances, people die. And I'm not talking about the fetus. I'm talking about people who are already alive die. I'm not talking about eugenics. I'm not talking about, oh, I just don't want the inconvenience of having this child with hydrocephaly. I'm talking about real economic troublesome problems that come with forcing people to have children that should not have been conceived, be it through rape, be it through incest, be it through she was asleep and didn't even know something was happening to her, or be it through, I want this baby, I have children, this child is developing outside of my uterus, I'm not allowed to expel this thing that might have a heartbeat but will not survive in any capacity outside of the womb, because that's what an ectopic pregnancy is. 100% of them are unviable. I view it similar, if I may, I view it similar to the death penalty. I am not a fan of the death penalty because even one innocent person is too many. I am not a fan of making abortion illegal because mother dying is too many. Even one woman bleeding out too far, one teenager being forced to give birth to a child that belongs to her stepfather is too many. So it needs to be legal, but it's an option. We're not saying it needs to be mandatory. We're not saying it needs to be a regular form of birth control or affordable. We're saying it needs to be an option to save lives. And it also does come with economic benefits, yes.
Okay, I'm glad you described it, ectopic pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of any pro-life or abolitionist individual that thinks ectopic pregnancies should be, or removing the fetus or zygote in an ectopic pregnancy should be illegal?
Yes. Current laws right now in the United States make the removal of an ectopic pregnancy in the state of Tennessee and in the state of Texas illegal. I think also in Louisiana and Oklahoma, it covers all forms of abortion, and that's the problem.
Yeah, Carrie said, it is inhumane to put potential life above the living. 100%. That's such a great way to say it. I really like that framing because it puts it in such a good perspective. Like that's the perspective we really do need to like just keep nailing down for these people.
It covers all forms of abortion. So even these women who are forced to basically stick around into the hospital until they're bleeding out and there is no pulse in their utero, they have to technically stay there because they're not allowed to have an abortion. This is real. You can look it up. There's so many instances of this happening.
Is there any possibility that you might be misunderstanding the legislation?
No, there's not. I've read it. It's disturbing.
Right, I'll restate the question. Is there any pro-life individual or abolitionist that you've spoken with that you could tell us about that believes that an ectopic pregnancy is an abortion that should be illegal?
Who fucking cares, dude? Like he said, well, I don't know any individuals. Well, this is only because you fucking dipshit individuals. Well, allow your fucking right-wing, psychos to pass legislation that you don't even fucking understand. So like whether or not you talk to that individual is irrelevant. It's the policies are passing, dude. And it's leading to women bleeding out in the fucking waiting room, at the hospital.
Yes, there are people who think abortion under any circumstance should be illegal. And there are lawmakers that have passed those laws in their states, Texas being number one. They're the ones who make the news for the most women dying because
he's really trying to make the case. He really thinks he's making the case that like Hey, there's nobody like that. What are you even talking about? It's like, are you kidding me? Have you like just peruse Right Wing Watch for like a day? You know, you're gonna see in a matter of like hours, like people fucking saying, "Oh, but I don't care." Well, then you gotta have your uncle's baby. Okay, you just gotta. That's not your decision. That's God's decision. You know.
Because they can't have an abortion with their ectopic pregnancy, unfortunately.
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad you mentioned the Texas law. That was actually the definition of abortion that I mentioned from a legal standpoint, differentiating it from a medical standpoint versus a legal definition. I am going to read that to you, and I do have a question.
Sure.
I want to make sure I'm sticking the questions on it. So legally speaking, from the state of Texas, it's, quote, an act of using or prescribing an instrument, a drug, a medicine, or any other substance, device, or means with the intent to cause the death of an unborn child.
Okay.
So my question is for you.
Of an unborn child. Like, that's in the legislation, a thing that doesn't make any sense. Unborn child. Like, come on, dude. Like, a child is somebody. Child? Really? You're not even. It's like, fuck baby. We're gonna skip that. It's a fucking child. Like, Jesus.
Do you believe that when a medical provider removes an ectopic pregnancy, their intent is to kill the zygote or fetus?
I mean, if it's already at the stage where there might be a heartbeat or whatever you consider signs of life, that's what they have to do in order to commit that abortion. Like that's unfortunately what they have to do, because it's either the ectopic pregnancy or it's the mother. The ectopic pregnancy will die no matter what, but it's not dead yet. And the mother could potentially die if not treated by getting an abortion to get rid of the ectopic pregnancy.
See, and this almost, and I was just trying to look up, and maybe y'all, are better at this sort of thing than I am. But I was just trying to look up the fallacy that I swear the right uses constantly, where it's like they take this insignificant detail and then act like that discredits the whole thing. Like if you got some detail in your argument incorrect or whatever, that somehow nullifies the entire argument. You know what I mean? And I swear that's like what the right does constantly. And it's like, it was something like the argument from insignificant difference or something like that. But it was like, yeah, does anybody know, what I'm talking about? It's like a fallacy, a logical fallacy. And it's like the argument from it doesn't matter anyway, but like if anybody thinks of what that's the official name of it, I'd really like to know.
Okay, thank you.
Because he's trying, it sounded like, and it looks like he abandoned it. Never mind. Because like he was like, it seemed like he was going to try to make the case that, do you think they are intending to do that? They're intending to end the life of the fetus or whatever. And it's like, that's not relevant, dude. What they intend, it's what happens, and you're like, oh, okay, well, as long as they could say they didn't intend for that to happen, then that doesn't count. Like, what are you saying? You know what I mean?
You said that I'll quote you again here too, and let you correct the record before I ask my question. Being anti-abortion is racist and classist. Is that right?
Yes.
Right.
And now let me clarify. That doesn't make people a racist who believes that. The action of making it illegal is the racist act. If you don't think abortion should be allowed, that doesn't make you a racist. But inherently, the law, once implemented, once it impacts the communities that it impacts, is a racist law. So I want to clarify. I'm not calling Tim a racist, and I'm not telling anybody who's pro-life a racist.
With your balls? The balls are manicured? I'm sorry, I'm reading this side chat thing going on here. Some talking about manicuring the ball. Anyway, and if you enjoy playing with manicured manicured balls there, you should try pornography. just go to a computer, and then you can have all the saucy fun you want. Just don't get the sauce on the keyboard. It really does a number on it. You're gonna have to just get a new one. That's I know. I learned the hard way too. It sucked, and then I had to convince my partner that I was building rockets or something. Or I was doing arts and crafts with glue near the computer. It was a mess. You don't want to have to do that. But go to a computer, and that's it. That's all you got to do. Unless you're in Florida or like Oklahoma, probably. I don't know. Anyway.
I am advocating that abortion should be legal, so I think I probably fit your definition of racist, but that's okay.
So I don't think you are doing it for the sake of getting rid of Black or Latino populations, but once it becomes illegal, those are some of the marginalized individuals that it will impact the most.
Certainly. Do you agree that if abortion...
Certainly. Whatever. Like, what the fuck? Where did this guy go to school for a debate? He's just like... terrible at this, it seems. Certainly. Yeah. No. Like, was he being sarcastic? Hold on. We got to hear that again.
But once it becomes illegal, those are some of the marginalized individuals that it will impact the most.
Certainly. Do you agree that if abortion had been illegal for the past 50 years, that there would be more people of color alive today than there wouldn't be if given the laws that we have on the books today?
If it had, say that again.
Do you agree that
would there be more people of color if they... Okay, Jesus Christ. So if it was illegal, then we'd have more Black people. So how could it possibly be racist? That doesn't even... Yeah, no, but it forces people to stay in their economic status, dude. And it also makes it so that people like have to play ball, like... that you can't get people being like, you know what, fuck the system. I'm not even going to play. I'm not even going to like do what what they want me to do and all this type of stuff. But once you have a kid, you're like, okay, now I have to play. Now I have to go get the job. Now I have to do all this stuff. Now I have to do, because I'm not going to sit here and watch this kid starve. It forces that desperation on people so that they are willing to bend over backwards, to get the fucking crumbs that the billionaire is willing to trickle down from his economics.
If abortion had been illegal for the past 50 years, that there would be substantially more people of color alive today.
I mean, statistically,
yeah.
It depends, but statistically, probably there would be more people in general. Therefore, there would be more people of color. Does
he not? Okay. I don't think he understands like what all make, because I mean, you could hear his logic there. He's like, well, if it leads to more Black people existing, well, then that couldn't be racist. As if like there's not other ways to be racist other than like not wanting them to exist at all. Like that's just there's also like being okay with with Black people existing, but they need to know their place and stay down where they're supposed to be. Whatever, that's the racist part, man.
All right. Tell me a little bit.
He is just failing every single question. It's amazing, dude. She is just like confidently answered each question. He's like, "Whew, okay, you kind of what?" Well, it's next question. I was going to make a point, but your answer made it so I can't make that point anymore. Let's move on to the...
I want to ask you specifically, do human beings have inherent value?
There we go. Yeah. So it's like, we got to move to the philosophical on this one. We got to get to like an ontological fucking argument of some sort here.
Yes, I think so.
Is that objectively true or just your opinion?
How are we going to we're going to objective morality, y'all. Because she answered the questions too good. And what he's like, got it down. He's like, it's at the bottom, it says like in quotations, Hail Mary, objective morality. And he's just got all this like other attempts crossed out. All right, time to fucking do the Hail Mary here, because she's got it nailing me down on every single point that I've tried to pin her down on.
I mean, I like to think that everybody thinks that way, but unfortunately, as anybody who's been on the internet more than 10 minutes knows that there are people that have differing opinions than that. But yeah, I think humans have varying degrees of value, absolutely. But everybody has value.
So what about a human life that is unwanted and the mother intends to terminate it?
Mm-hmm.
Does that life have value?
Once it can exist as a life, then yes. But in the womb, before it can exist on its own as a life, it doesn't have the same amount of value as the mother.
It's potential value. Like it could potentially be a valuable, or like have value or whatever, but like it's not a thing yet, man. That's like asking if a drink has like value or whatever, and it's like, okay, but what about the drink before it gets poured? And it's like, well, then it's not a fucking drink, man. Like, that's what are you talking about? I know you've said example a lot, but it just makes sense. It's just like the way they talk about stuff is just like spilling a drink that hasn't been poured yet and shit like that, you know?
What point can a human being exist independently as a life?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the doctor. I think it's like something like the third trimester. I don't know. You'd have to ask a doctor.
But even then, it would be
with
great help.
And Kari was saying like it is not living. It's like a parasite, and that's true. It because the autonomy of the woman or the person with the uterus is what matters. Like that's what determines this thing being a parasite or being a potential child or whatever that they want to have, and make, paint the room blue for it or whatever the fuck, all that type of stuff, right? It all 100% depends on the consent of the individual that is housing the potential individual that hasn't come into existence yet. Like that is what determines, it's what distinguishes it from being a parasite.
With great assistance.
Yes.
And
yes.
You recognize that even a born baby, full-term born baby, requires tremendous assistance.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what I need. Huh? Tsunami said Floridians use a VPN. That's what I need to get then, huh? Because I'm having to go to shadier and shadier like websites, because you're trying to find the one that, the websites that are like, we don't care where you're at. We're going to show you the stuff, even if it's illegal to show it to you. And yeah. And so those are pretty sketchy. I don't know. I've got a lot of viruses now, is my point. So if all these computers shut down at random, it's Kevin's fault. That's right. Yeah, no, I know you didn't see that coming. No, yeah, it was still your fault. It's still your fault. I don't know. Well, you probably had something to do with the legislation passing that says that I can't look at porn that doesn't have viruses all over the goddamn place.
So even though that baby still has a great dependency on the mother, especially along with the fathers and adults, is it okay to kill that human life?
Of course not.
But wasn't your standard that as soon as it's able to live independently, and we've already established that the baby cannot live independently?
So my definition of independently is literally like breathing, being alive. Mothers don't have to help their children breathe. Mothers don't have to help their children's heartbeat. They don't have to perform CPR in their infants every day.
Because they do. It's so funny because I remember getting into this part of the conversation. They're like, but if you just left the baby there on the ground and then walked away for 3 weeks, it would not survive. And it's like, yeah, just like if you locked anybody in a cage for 3 weeks, they wouldn't survive, because you need water. And for I know you can survive without food. I'm talking, but the water part is what I'm referring to anyway.
Their brain functions. Just because it can't stand up on its own does not mean that it can't exist, right?
So it sounds to me a lot that you're separating humanity from personhood. Would you agree with that?
I need more detail on that. What do you mean?
What the hell? See, he's trying. Look at how confused. Because here's the thing: their position is 100% like on like rhetorical base. Like it's just semantics, it's just how you categorize stuff. And if you can categorize this thing that doesn't really exist in any like instance, like other than it's something that could possibly potentially exist if all of the things work out right, but they wanted to section that off, put up a wall and go, nope, that exists, that's a person, that's the and make it have all the criteria that like a person would have that's walking down the fucking street with a thumbprint and a favorite song. That's not the same fucking thing. And it's like that when you just talk to, this is all you have to do, and I'm like, this is all you got to do. She's doing a phenomenal job, by the way. But like, all you got to do is just talk about it like it's in reality. You got to talk about the reality of what is happening, because they don't have the reality. All they have is rhetoric surrounding philosophical concepts about when a life starts, that's which to them matters more than the actual consequential outcomes of these kinds of this kind of legislation that literally hurts people. And there's no way to get around that. It's demonstrative.
So you might disagree with the embryology textbooks we talked about. When they say it's human life at the moment of fertilization, and it grows and it develops, never changes species, but at some other point it becomes, it has value that the value develops, like develops into the point to where we should have laws that say, hey, you can't kill it.
Right-handed said after birth, anyone can care for the child. Before birth, it has to rely on the mother and can't be moved safely to another person. That's a great point, because that's honestly the issue. Is like you could just move it safely to a different person, that wouldn't count, right? But that's not how it works. It can't exist without the woman or the person with the uterus is like help. It just to fucking breathe, just to have a heartbeat. It can't even do that. So yeah, there's a slight difference there than just, it needs breast milk too, so it's always going to need a baby.
So you agree with that?
Yeah.
You terms like, okay, it's we recognize it's human, but it's not really a person yet.
So I mean, a baby is a person. Like,
I mean, if you're said ads, I'm back. If you're in the vertical, you're gonna get more ads. That's how I set it up. I don't know why. I just said so. If you want to watch the horizontal, then you're not gonna get nearly as many ads.
Like an infant in your arms is a person to me, and I would never advocate for the murder of a baby once it's outside of the womb.
So it's location.
Yeah, Tim's comparison is just dumb to begin with. I agree.
Not necessarily state of independence. It's got to be outside the womb.
Well, it's not an independent stage if it still necessitates the womb.
Okay, so the womb specifically.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. That sort of is the structure that keeps it viable or whatever.
Is there a time in history when any class of human being was considered not to be or less than a full person, and was it actually a good thing?
See,
no.
This is where it gets like it's really fucking frustrating, because this is what they got to do, because their whole thing is based on an equivocation, just changing out definitions for stuff, right? And so now he's going to be like, well, there was a time when black people weren't valued, and you're basically saying that these fetuses, I mean, that's just like black, that's racist, okay, is really what I'm saying. And it's like, dude, do you get how fucking disrespectful that is to like to compare a race of people to undeveloped like clusters of cells? You don't think there's a little difference there? You don't think that doesn't count? Like, my God, Jesus Christ, dude.
It wasn't a good thing, but there's unfortunately still, even today, that's happening all over the world, but it's never been a good thing.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Why do I doubt that? Why do I doubt that?
On October 31st of this year, a man named Jorge Alvarez was drunk and drove his car into oncoming traffic. He collided with an SUV, which then rolled onto its roof and caught fire.
Turns out he was a fetus. And so that's been...
Driver of the SUV, a 33-year-old pregnant mother, survived with serious injuries. But her 5.5-month-old unborn child was killed. Jorge was charged with 3 felonies. And here's my question. First-degree reckless homicide causing the death of an unborn child.
Oh, shit. Okay. No, right. And it says that I'm in the horizontal, but that was the first set of ads I got. I only mentioned it because you responded to me while I was away. Oh, that's... You're like, okay, let me respond to... And get your bidet. That's right. How's your butt feel? Does it feel like it's not getting cleaned? No, he was just responding to it. Oh, fuck. I'm going to have to rewind after this. Why are they selling butt sprays like this? This is weird, right?
Homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle and first-degree reckless injury. Based on this information, in your opinion, are these charges that Jorge Alvarez received, were they just?
Yes, I think so. Because the child was not in Jorge's body. It was not Jorge's decision whether or not to continue that pregnancy. It would not impact Jorge's health, whether or not that pregnancy continued. So at the point where the mother's consent is removed and she is the vital being giving life to that life, then at the point where consent is removed, a crime is committed. An abortion is not anybody driving a truck into a woman and killing her child. An abortion is a medical procedure that is very important to have rights to as a mother and as the being carrying the child. So she wanted that child. That child was killed by somebody other than her, not part of a medical procedure. That
choice was removed. That's like, and that just doesn't even, wait, her making a choice matters here? What, wait, we're not, I don't care about women making choices for that. My point is, be outside her point, like what she may or may not want. Who cares? She's a woman. Why do we care what she wants? Anyway.
Not part of a life-saving, any kind of thing at all, then yeah, I would say that counts.
All right, we agree. And I appreciate your use of language, child and killing. I think that's really important. You mentioned consent. Is the human life, when it is terminated through an abortion, is that life able to consent?
It's not even able to have conscious thoughts. So no, it's not able to consent because there's no consciousness whatsoever.
How the fuck? I like how they like try to, they're trying to do the like flipping the logic back on the question about logic type thing. You know, you're like, yeah, well, it's the woman's consent, right? Does she consent to having this fetus in her body or not? And he's like, well, what about the fetus? Huh? What about their consent? You ever think of that? Yeah, that's what I thought. Nailed it. Yeah, we went like, yeah, they can't think thoughts, let alone fucking consent. What the hell?
Okay. Are you able to kill someone that doesn't have consciousness?
Once they're like out of the womb? It depends. There are places in the world where unconscious people can make the prior authorization to end their life. I mean, even in the United States.
That does happen all the fucking time. There's like people that go, hey, if something happens, I don't want to just be hooked up to machines, sucking up y'all's finances or whatever for like 30 years, 40 years. Just pull the plug or whatever. Or it's just that decision is left up to somebody. They might not even decide that. They might or remember to put that down in writing anywhere. And it's just somebody else gets that choice for them. It happens all the time.
You can sign a do not resuscitate, a DNR, and that is essentially killing somebody who doesn't have brain activity and doesn't have consciousness, and it's consensual because the person decided. Or in my case, my husband is my what's it called? The legal, he can make these decisions for me once I'm not conscious anymore. And I told him, do not resuscitate. So he could, in effect, give permission to kill me, even if I'm technically alive, but I'm brain dead and I don't have a consciousness.
do you see a difference in the DNR in choosing not to actively attempt a resuscitation versus actually intervening to end a life? Like, I'm going to do this and it will result in this, or a DNR being, the body has for some other reason shut down. Do you see a difference?
Well, it's called pulling the plug for a reason, because pulling the plug to the life-saving mechanisms is what kills you, essentially. So even if the remainder of my body could continue to live like Terry Schiavo, even if the rest of my body continues to grow, continues to have periods, continues to go through postmenopause and premenopause.
She said, continues to have periods. And he's like, oh, you have to, of all the things that you could, those make me very uncomfortable. Okay, I'm a conservative man over here. Could you not be talking about, unless we're talking about sentence structure, let's not say that word. Okay, that'd be great.
That doesn't mean that at any point I was conscious or I could make any form of decision on my own for the betterment of what's going on around me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marlon.
Okay, so I guess so I I feel like I lost that portion of the debate, and that's like his fucking Q&A, not like his like cross-examination. So like I don't know how familiar people are with debate, but that's usually the point that you get to where they can't ask you questions, right? So you get to like kind of like lean on them and stuff, kind of fuck with them and kind of like try to trap them and be rude to them, because they're not allowed to get mad. It's in the rules. They say you can't get mad, and you can be, you could treat the opponent as hostile or whatever, or sort of, not a little bit hostile.
All right. That is your time. Definitely. You had like 18 seconds left.
You want to do the 18 seconds, buddy? Let's do it. We'll do a 6-second question, and she can have the rest of that to respond.
If you want that. All right, cool. All right. That's it. Thank you guys for that. Great engagement. Appreciate it. So now we're going to jump into the rebuttal rounds. Once again, it's going to be 2 5-minute of rebuttals, so total of 10 minutes each for each person of rebuttals. And so during the rebuttals,
yeah, I like that. It's ad block. Is that what it is? Okay. So kindness does not need a reason. I agree with that. I like that.
Guys, the rebuttals are going to go fast, audience. So get your questions in. And obviously, super chats get the priority. So get
fudge Bubba Trump. So we're just gonna put that. We're just gonna put that in his name. We're just like President Bubba Trump. You know what I mean? Just to remind everybody, he blew somebody named Bubba, and that's gonna drive him right insane. How dare you? Don't you dare put that name next to my. Show some respect. Okay, he's your president too. He won. Get over it. Like, he blew a guy named Bubba. Get over it. Well, no. The name Bubba was the name of the bubbles. It was a bubbles company. Okay, that's what that was. It was just clearly talking about blowing bubbles. That's all.
Get your questions in. Don't wait till the last minute. Get them in now, because we will be having a 30-minute Q&A at the end of the debate. So that said, I believe, Tim, you're up first for the rebuttal, I believe. And yeah, let me make sure. Yep. So you got 5 minutes for your rebuttal. I'm going to take Sydney off the stage. And so once again, I will start your 5-minute timer
rebuttal
as soon as you begin to.
See, I don't understand. I don't know how the rules work on this shit. Now there's a rebuttal. This seems all out of order to me. But again, like, I don't know the Stewie's rules of debate or whatever the fuck. But like, it would be her turn to go after he did the cross-examination. Then wouldn't it be her turn? I don't know. Like, what am I? I don't know.
So you got the floor.
All right. Thank you, Marlon.
The floor is all yours. That's James Weirdo says it. Everything. That's really annoying, actually.
Okay, what we heard beginning from my opponent was just not true, that we agree on the definition of life. I think that was some clever wording there. I can't pull up the statistics for you all tonight, but You'll have to, for those of you that care, which if you're watching the stream, I think it's probably most of you, if this is how you're choosing to spend your Friday night, do care.
Oh my God, how are you wasting your time saying? Well, there's a minute gone, having said nothing. Like, I can't pull up the statistics, but some of you guys might. If you are interested in if you're the type of people that find numbers and stats important, then you have the freedom to be able to go look up numbers that are, Jesus Christ, man, what the fuck? It's like he forgot that he's on a timer.
In this kind of discussion, but to do your own research, just do a simple Google search and type embryology textbooks, the beginning of human life. It is life from the moment of fertilization. This is the science behind it. Something that is dead cannot grow and develop and suck thumbs and all of these other things that happen so early.
It's not sucking thumbs when it doesn't have thumbs, man. What are you talking? Stuff can't suck thumbs if it's not alive. So it's like, yeah, we're talking, and they don't do that when they're not in existence yet, man.
Early on in human life. So it is a human being. The scientific perspective is that it is a human being from the beginning. Sydney mentioned.
No, that's not the science. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's the beginning of a process that could potentially lead to a human being existing. A fucking, like, a couple of cells developing and starting to grow is like all of a sudden it's a human. That's a full-fledged fucking human being right there. No, that's not how anything works. Jesus, they want to oversimplify everything.
A lot in her opening statement about the medical necessity of abortions, and that. But to be really clear here, folks, an abortion is the intentional killing of the human being inside the womb. In my opening statement, I mentioned the statement on abortion by 107 obstetricians and gynecologists that affirm this is not me, this is not Tim, who's not a medical professional. This is credentialed, real practicing providers that have.
Davey's like so fucking. I need your confidence, dude. Holy shit. Like, David over here is like, I crush every fucking debate, actually. You don't even know. All right, dude. I am just I'm phenomenal. All right. I'm just an incredible person, just all the way around. I just want to make that clear. But particularly so when it comes to debating, because I just am just out the park. I knock it. I blast it. I do it perfect every time.
Stated that a abortion is never medically necessary to provide evidence-based care. Now, what we are not talking about, and my opponent here is seriously mistaken about the removal of ectopic pregnancies being illegal in the state of Tennessee. She's just wrong, just misguided on that one. You guys will have to do your own research to look that up as well. There are a lot of examples of tragic cases that we could look into where that news sources such as ProPublica and other sources have said, the tragic situation where this woman has died because she wasn't able to receive the abortion that she so desperately needed. Portia Gumezi, Amber Nicole Thurman, Candy Miller, had those come up, I would have been happy to have gotten into the circumstances of those cases. But as we look in the details, not what the headlines have said on the ProPublica news articles or what is spinning in the news cycle, an abortion was not needed to save the life of those mothers. It was either, and oftentimes it's actually the abortion pill that ended up causing sepsis. It was the abortion pill that ended the life of the mother and not the actual delivery of the baby. So medical professionals are becoming very, very clear.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If, like, the cases that we're talking about, they didn't have access to the abortion pill. That was sort of the point. And then they're like, oh, but that's actually what killed it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Abortion is not necessary to provide evidence-based care. No pro-life or abolitionist is seriously talking about
Can you not call it abolition? Like that just is the weirdest. That is like the weirdest fucking label to put on being pro forced birth. Like, we're an abolitionist. That's right. We're modern day abolitionists right there, stopping this. And when the real ironic part was, they were the opposite. The people that would be arguing now for abortion being banned are exactly the same like groups of people that back then would have been against the abolition people,
banning ectopic pregnancies, because again, the difference there is that in an ectopic pregnancy, the mother's life is already in danger and the child will not survive. So it must be removed. Now, perhaps medical advancements will have a method to where we can take the implanted fetus and put it rightly back into the universe. And if that happens, praise the Lord, that would be fantastic. But in those circumstances, the baby will naturally die. And if it's not removed, then so will the mother. Pro-lifers and abolitionists agree that in those circumstances, the removal of that fetus is necessary. But the key difference is the intentional killing of that human life. And
this is what I'm saying. The intentional killing of that human life. What? So you gotta what? Ask the doctor afterwards? Like, hold on, though. What was your intention? Because that's what really splits the room here. Is what your intention was. It's like, it's a fucking medical procedure. My intention is to save the person that I'm operating on. Like, what the fuck do you want?
And Sydney also mentioned, or seemed to suggest, that in the 65 million abortions that I mentioned, 2,800, 3,000 per day, and things like that, that ectopic pregnancies drive up those numbers, and those numbers consist of ectopic pregnancies. But according to the CDC, that's actually not true. Those numbers only include abortion procedures with the intent to terminate a suspected or known intrauterine pregnancy. That means that the life is inside of the uterus, not ectopic pregnancies. Again, I think maybe she's just mistaken on it.
No, I think you are, dude. You're the one that's mistaken on this, because I'm almost positive it's in the legislation. They don't, because here's the thing that I guess they don't fucking realize about the right-wing politicians. They say that their bill is one thing, and then the bill is not that. That happens all the time. Republicans constantly fucking lie about what is in the bill, because they know that y'all ain't gonna go check. You're just gonna hear it from a politician and go, yep, they gotta be telling the truth, right? Trump said that he's not gonna. No, dude, they lie. They just lie, and people die as a result.
But ectopic pregnancies are not 65, or not driving up that 65 million number. I'll go ahead and stop.
You're dead.
Yeah, about 40 seconds.
I'm good.
All right. Cool.
He doesn't even attempt to finish his point. So you still had 40 seconds, dude. That's like almost a minute. You could have made like 8 more points, man.
All right, Sydney, you're up for your 5-minute rebuttal. And same as Tim, I will start your time as soon as you begin to speak.
Perfect. So thanks for having me. So something that's really important that I need everybody to just really hone in on is not what my opponent is saying, but it's what my opponent is not saying and what he's not addressing. For example, he didn't address that the United States has the highest mother and infant mortality rate of any first world nation. We talked about this in the very beginning of my opening statement. Because of our laws that are archaic regarding abortion, being healthcare, we have the highest rate of potentially avoidable infant mortality rate and motherhood mortality rate, because those pregnancies didn't have to continue to birth where the mother dies. Then he didn't address what I talked about, teens dying because they got pregnant by grown men. This happens on a regular basis. I even stated 24.3% of those 11 to 12-year-olds who are giving birth were fathered by men over the age of 21. Then he skips over the stats that abolishing abortion doesn't even lower abortion. It doesn't even lower the number of abortions. So by making it illegal, you are literally only sentencing women to death. You are not resolving the issue of abortion. We could talk all day. I've got a list of things that could really, really help with the number of abortions that need to be performed. We could talk about education all day. We could talk about sex ed and the education system. But at the end of the day, even if you make abortion illegal, the studies show, Center for Disease Control, National Institute of Health, YaleMedicine.org, World Health Organization, Pew Research Center, shows that it doesn't lower the number of abortions. So all you're doing is sentencing women to death. You know, he talks about
and then just making it so it's a bunch of fucking you're just traumatizing, really. You're traumatizing women and hurting them and causing them to die. But you're also just like making the number of like trash can babies and shit just skyrocket. You know what I mean? Which is really fucked up. And that would be like what I'm saying, like about the traumatizing these people because they know they can't get access to just like the common sense healthcare surrounding reproductive rights. So you're going to just cause a bunch of fucking dumpster babies, which is traumatizing. Yeah. And then they got to deal with that fucking shit the rest of their life.
How the abortion pill causes sepsis, and that's actually what killed the mother. But what he doesn't talk about is in Texas, in the state of Texas, in the instances where women have gotten sepsis from the abortion pill and died because of it, was not because of the sepsis, but because the sepsis could not be removed by doctors because they can be sued by the state for performing an abortion. And in the state of Texas, tissue, even if it has a heartbeat, even if it has no consciousness, tissue that is not removed from the mother in a timely manner is considered a child, is considered a baby, is considered life, and is not allowed to be removed, or the doctor can even go to jail. I'm not making this up. You can.
So yeah, so even that was great. So she caught on to his lie. I didn't know enough about like the instance that he was talking about there, but like he's saying that the abortion pill like was what caused the sepsis, and but no, it turns out it was not being allowed to remove the infection because that infection was a person that matters more than the infected person. That doesn't matter. The less of a person, really, if you think about it.
Look it up. So yes, like the abortion pill, and oh, that's so bad, and the mother wouldn't be in this position if she hadn't taken the abortion pill. The abortion pill itself is not what's killing her. What's killing her is the doctor saying, I do not want to be legally liable for this failed abortion pill that is causing sepsis when there is still technically tissue in there that belongs to a fetus, and I can go to jail. This is real, and it happens all the time. He also didn't touch at all on the number of women who are seeking abortions who have.
Look at that. It says, it is more difficult on the mother to abort her baby than to do a cesarean. There's a comment or a chat. A cesarean. It is a proven fact. I don't think a cesarean is an abortion. This is what's so dumb. Like they act like these things are not the same. Like if you are aborting that pregnancy, yeah, it just doesn't. It's like the. But I mean, this is why I guess they have to like say the intentional unaliving of the whatever, because an abortion is just any ending of a pregnancy, which includes a cesarean section. But I don't think that it's that an abortion is like more difficult on the mother. I mean, some of them are fucking pills that you take. What are you talking about? Just all abortions are, I think she's saying like this one specific kind of DNX abortion or whatever is late term abortion. Those might be, but it's like that's not. First of all, that barely ever happens. Usually only when there's some surprise problem with the developing person in there, But like it's not. It's just so weird how they have to do stuff like that. But you can see like the chat is like 90%. I mean, this is their channel. It's just the dude's channel called The Gospel Truth. And so that's why you're getting so much of this,
children. He wants you to focus on, oh, this many Gen Z, this many millennials have been murdered in the past some odd years. But what he doesn't focus on are those statistics. He doesn't talk about, one, how many of those would have even lived to begin with, how many of those Gen Z that are being killed in abortions would have even survived outside the womb. We could talk about that all day long. But he just skips over so many of the really, truly important nuances that make these laws so important. Abortion is a choice. It is not mandatory. Gay marriage being legal doesn't mean you have to get gay married. Weed being legal doesn't mean you have to get high. Abortion being legal.
It is forced. Everybody, that just got to go to each person's house after, at 420 specifically, they will come to your house and they will make sure they put that gas mask kind on, and you can, and then they light it.
Doesn't mean you have to have an abortion. I hopefully will never in my life necessitate an abortion. And if I were to get pregnant tomorrow with a perfectly viable infant, I would not have an abortion. But I do believe that abortion should be a medically necessary choice for people who mentally, physically, emotionally, financially cannot afford these children, as well as children that will not continue to exist and live a full life outside of the womb. We talked about hydrocephaly. There are so many things that he narrows down to eugenics, like, oh, this lady doesn't want to have a kid with Down syndrome. That's eugenics. What he doesn't talk about is the immense terror and horror that these children go through when they're born with these brain stems missing and things that happen on a regular basis where they cannot live, they cannot thrive outside of the womb.
Which is like part of like why we constantly have these conversations, right? It's because they like these parts of like humanity, the nitty gritty shit, or just of nature in general. They don't think about that shit because in their minds, every single like pregnancy is going to lead to an actual person because God just makes people. There are no, there are no like deformations or anything like that. Like God, he does all this stuff and it's perfect. God makes a specific person each time. So they usually think about it just only after the fact when somebody has this type of stuff. Well, and then they never really have a good explanation for it. Well, I guess God needed to teach somebody. There was it's mysterious ways is really what I'm saying here. We try not to think about those situations happening because it kind of just flies in the face of our whole perfect God thing. But so they don't want to think about it that way. That's why they always act like all those instances don't fucking happen. And it's like, dude, just ignoring it doesn't make it not exist.
Why would you want to give birth to a child with hydrocephaly who is never going to live a pain-free life?
Oh,
thank you. Is never going to have consciousness. So the nuance is what is important here. I'm not saying a baby should be dashed against rocks, although the Bible says that, and we can get into that at a later time. That nice. Once they're born, I'm not saying that this life does not count as anything other than, oh, just a cell, expel it. I'm saying at the end of the day, more people die.
Yeah, that was good. I'm not saying to dash babies' heads on the rock like your fucking holy book does, Jack. Huh? Yeah. You want chapter and verse? I'll get it.
When they need these medically necessary abortions that are necessary for their health and survival, when they are illegal versus when they are not illegal. And if you are pro-life and if you truly value all life, as I know my opponent does, and I don't say that disingenuously, he would understand that allowing abortion to be an option is pertinent and necessary and has to be part of helping children and babies thrive once they are outside the womb and helping mothers thrive and saving lives on a regular basis in this country.
All right, that's time. Thank you so much, Sydney, for that. All right, Tim, you're back in rebuttal seat here, and so I'm gonna get you back on stage. And Tim,
damn, we barely made it through like halfway on this sucker, But I do kind of want to return to this. I might, I don't know. We'll see next time. Might actually react to this a little bit more. But we'll go a little bit longer, and then I think don't think I'll wrap it up, but yeah.
I will start your time as soon as you begin to speak.
All right, guys, now we're having fun. All right, so Sydney mentions that we have the highest.
That was amazing. Okay, guys, now we're having fun. Oh. Anyway, all right, let's do. Hold on, I want to hear that again.
Tim, I will start your time as soon as you begin to speak.
All right, guys, now we're having fun.
I don't know why the fake laugh just gets me. Fun stuff, because it's my turn, I guess. I don't know what makes it fun or anything. I don't know. Anyway.
All right, so Sydney mentions that we have the highest infant mortality rate in the world, but that is probably true. And certainly a lot of factors that go into that influence medical outcomes. And the solution to reduce infant mortality is never to kill the infant, which is what pro-choice, pro-aborts are advocating for. If you just kill the baby, then there's no baby to cause infant mortality rates. But
dude, did they? Oh my God, does he not know what an infant is? I don't think he does. I don't think it's like, okay, man, like you're not understanding. It's the bans that cause that. We've seen the direct through line from banning these, because then people can actually have kids that when they want to have the kids, they're not forced to have, these fetuses like forced to term when they don't want it to. It's like, and the conditions aren't right. Yada yada. Like there's so many. When you're removing people's choices, it's not a good thing ever.
That would be 100% infant mortality rates. Out of Texas, Sydney is probably talking.
They're not infants, dude.
About Portia Gumezi,
talking about.
And doctors saying that they were afraid to provide a DNC. But if you'll go dig in this case, there is no doctor that treated her that said that. This is all speculation by other people around the case, not the medical professionals, not the medical records that said that. Rather, it's propaganda that spun up to support the pro-abort position.
The propaganda that is, yeah, that's it. The left is the side that has, the pro medically necessary procedures. That's the propaganda, all those goddamn doctors and their medical science, fucking propaganda bullshit. That's
when Portia Gumezi got to the hospital, she should have received a DNC, which is not prohibited by Texas law. Again, not prohibited by Texas law, because the radiologist confirmed through an ultrasound there was a pregnancy sac, but no heartbeat and no embryo to be seen. When both pro-life and pro-abortion doctors look at this case, they both agree, pro-life doctors too, that a DNC should have been given to Portia Gumezi. She did not receive the best health care possible. And when we're not honest about it, when we're said more interested in perpetuating pro-abortion,
I don't know what what instance specifically he's talking about, but I highly doubt that what he's saying is accurate. Other than like, there are times when, yeah, doctors don't do everything perfect or whatever. But like, is that what you do? Like, go to the edge case or whatever, where the doctors like didn't do perfect, and so that means that you get to remove their ability to administer life-saving medical care. Because just because you think that, sometimes we got to decide what you think. Hold up, don't save the woman yet. Let's see what some fucking right-wing weirdo thinks about. Is it okay yet? Is it okay yet? When is it okay, buddy? You're the one that decides this medical fucking shit, and not the woman or the doctor. So yeah, whatever.
Abortion propaganda, we prohibit the mothers from receiving the justice that they actually deserve. Sydney mentioned mothers with kids. Like, I didn't mention it. Yeah, of course I didn't mention it, because my solution to poor economic families is not to kill the poor kids. Because my position, as I mentioned at the
they literally have nothing but to just keep calling it the thing that they've already, like him included, have decided that it is not. It is not killing kids, you fucking liar.
beginning, is that
God damn.
every human being has, because
Hey,
my
it's like they have to lie. They can't do anything without lying.
solution to poor economic families is not to kill the poor kids. Because my position, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that every human being.
I mean, that's the reason why you have to get insurance through your job, because that is kind of the American way, dude. Is poor kids don't get medical. That you you kill the poor kid. That's pretty much the American way.
Is worthy of equal protection under the law. That's why we have things like adoption. And yes, there are the line of families waiting to adopt babies is vastly longer than there are babies to be adopted. Now, when you get later into the foster system, there's about 400,000 kids in the foster system, and the goal of the foster system is always reunification with the parents first. But when it comes to babies, there are the list of people that are open and willing to adopt babies is not the problem. It's not lack of people.
What the fuck? Listen to this. There's a chat here in the thing, not from mine, but like in their chat. Said the left will march for everything except the nuclear family. The one setup where kids are 11 times likelier to live and not be aborted. What? Like, what is that? What the fuck does any of that mean? Do you think we need to, like, it's an injustice that like nuclear families don't exist? Is that what you're saying? Like, we need to get out and march. There needs to be more marriage in this country. If there were more marriage, then it wouldn't be so unjust out there in the world, just all that bad. What the fuck are you talking? Why would anybody march for that? And then to say that they're 11 times more likely to like, it says they're where would it go? So they're 11 times likelier to live and not be aborted. I wonder why that is, man. Like, that's just a numbers game. Like, you're basically just saying there, people that are like married and and have privilege basically are less likely to abort or have an abortion because obvious fucking reasons. Clearly, they clearly have more resources and access to resources. That's just built in to the criteria that you're using. But then you're trying to, like, does he think that, like, it just makes it so kids are healthier or something? Like, if you have like a nuclear family and that makes it so that the fetus would be more likely to live. Like, I don't think he understands what the stats that he's even saying.
It's lack of babies. So to say that mothers with kids should be able to kill their unborn children doesn't fit because, number one, it devalues human life.
What? Hold on. Hey, Gretchen, how you doing? I didn't even see you snuck in over here. So did you see the Tim Miller surrounded on Jubilee? That's not this guy, is it? Oh no, this is Tim Taint. No, that's his name. Yeah, no, I didn't. I'm not. Hey, I'm not trying to be funny here. But if you want to Tim somebody's taint, then just go to. Well, I mean, you could. You don't do it yourself. But you could watch somebody Tim somebody's taint. Just go get some porn, and put it on your old computer there, and just knock yourself out. Or off. Knock it off. No, get yourself off. That's the nomenclature there. All right, y'all. I gotta wrap her up. But thank you so much for hanging out. This is a lot of fun. Like I said, I try not to do Saturdays too often, but I wanted to kind of throw this out there because I did miss my live stream the other day. Got a new video coming out on Tuesday. And then right now, if you're a member, though, you get that video. Plus, it's an extended version, actually, of the video. It's like twice as long. So if you're a member. So become a member. You can watch the latest video right now. But if you're not a member, it'll come out on Tuesday. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's that capturing Christianity dude just saying really dumb stuff. But yeah, good stuff. Good times. But if you want to support the show, you can support us by supporting our sponsor, porn. You know, that's this one. That stuff. Just go to porn. Just all of it. Just all the point. Anyway, but if you want to support our show, you can go to patreon.com/punkapostate, which also has that video posted, just so you know. I am updating the Patreon with the same kind of videos that I put up on the members only video. So that I'm mirroring that. That's kind of a new thing. I just started putting a bit more into the Patreon. Right? But yeah, so but if you want to just do a one-time payment on Cash App, that'd be cool. Cash tag is Punk Apostate. If you want to become a member, like we were just talking, just go to the join button that sits somewhere on your screen there. It's, I don't know, but it should be pretty obvious. I don't know. Click that button and then follow the prompts. You know. Also, if you want to email me at punkapostate@gmail.com. Let me know if I got anything wrong. If you want me to cover anything, there's like any particular content creators you want me to mess with, anything at all, just send me an email. Punkapostate@gmail.com. Also, you can join our Discord, which also has a suggestion box. If you want me to react to anything like that, there's a spot in there for that. Also, we are taking art to put on clothes for our merch and stuff. So we kind of have a theme right now, although I think I got to get a new theme because the clothing company keeps rejecting our designs because they're saying it's too explicit. Anyway, so but we do have one design that is up there right now. I don't know. So get it before they ban it, because I'm sure they're gonna fucking ban it any second here. But yeah, but join the Discord and check out all my socials. All the links are below. Follow me on all that shit. Including TikTok. I got a TikTok. It's pretty fun. Trying to update that a little bit more too lately. So check it out. But all right, Joe. The main thing there is to stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate, and we will see you next time.